Hey guys, Ben Oosterveld here with the Business from Within podcast.
Hey Kelsey, thanks for coming to the show.
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, I was looking, like I was saying just a couple seconds ago, I was trying to prepare for this and I've known you for a while and I know you so well that I felt like everything I was trying to prepare for was just a total waste of time. I'm gonna roll this.
Yeah, we're just gonna roll anyway. Whatever comes out of my mouth comes out of my mouth. So.
That's the thing. I was thinking, if we just have a conversation like we had the other day, that'll be just fantastic. So
it certainly will.
I was looking at your website thinking, okay, how are we going to introduce you and all this? I'm thinking, I just know you as Kelsey. So I've actually never actually read the website. It was someone says, look, you need to talk to this girl. She's a relationship whisperer and you literally helped me save my marriage. That's pretty much how I know. And so I'm going to read some stuff off here.
Awesome.
But it's weird because I feel like I've never read this and I'm thinking, what would someone think when they're reading this if they don't know you? Because your energy is kind of like half the, where'd you go? Just hold on, I'm losing you. Your energy is like, it's like, how do you describe energy with words? So I feel like it's cheap and commercial, even though it's very nice. No, but I'm just looking at it and I'm like, this sounds like a freaking commercial, but we'll go for it for people that don't know you.
Let's see what happens.
They will feel you as we go. So it says, you're a radical self-love coach, writer, facilitator, musician, an expert in conversations of self-love variety, super passionate about creating game-changing love-filled relationships. There's lots here. So I'm going to hit a few things that I think are really cool and some that are a little bit odd, which I like.
Perfect.
Like this one, I'm a positive, rainbow-loving, straight-shooting, compassionate soul sister whose intention is to beam more love into inspiration into the world. Like I heard a few podcasts, I get it. If you get a couple of girls like you together, that all makes sense. But for me, I'm going, what is that?
What is she talking about?
And then and then the other thing is that you work with people that I know that have referred to you, and all of a sudden they start talking about rainbows. Like, is this a cult you're doing? Because what the hell is this? Like
the rainbow love cult.
Rainbows and unicorns.
Like, and unicorns, yeah.
Is that normal?
Well, I feel like it's because like when we start getting into the zone of authenticity, and that's really what a unicorn represents to me, is like this mythical, unique creature just owning its weirdness and owning its character and its essence. And that's really what we get down to when I start working with someone. Like we kind of chip away all of those masks and all of those layers that we've, accumulated over our lifetime to look good or avoid looking bad or to get the approval and to get the love. And we chip all of that away. And what we're left with is that person's stripped down essence. And when they start really owning it, there's this sense of liberation and giddiness that naturally happens. And for some people, they really just get on the unicorn train and they're like,
I've seen some pretty hardcore results. So when I meet someone and they go hardcore unicorn, I'm like, you talk to Kelsey. She's going to, right? She's torn you apart and this is now. So yeah, they know exactly who we're talking about. So, okay. There's a couple more things here. Let's see here. We're going to get in. I'll ask you some questions too. But here's the thing. Your goal is to inspire millions of women and men to learn and to love themselves more. So that's becoming like, that's the stuff that sounds like that's amazing. That's what I'm doing as well, right? Like at the end of the day, you just like, if someone can just love themselves more, if someone can just believe in themselves more, there's nothing like that. I think we both agree to that. Totally. But you read that line, it's so fucking cliche now.
It is.
I'm not trying to be offensive at all. You get me. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, you got to experience that. Then you know what I mean? So I think it's amazing what you're doing. So I'm going to cut to the chase here. So I'm just going to tell a little bit of story about how you've affected my life and the reason why you're on this show. Okay. So I'm not going to get into too much detail because I have learned that my wife is not as outgoing as I am. And I have learned that I don't want to talk about all the details, which I'm okay with. And later on, Renee will go, what the frick did you just say? I'm like, no, it's all good. It's just Kelsey. And it's like the typical guy move where like, I don't get it. What did I do? I didn't do anything. Why is she losing her mind? So let's cut that whole thing out, learn my lessons, and we're just going to talk about stuff that would be respectful for her. So
I love it.
And so when my wife and I had a lot of, I won't go through the whole backstory, but we were at a place in our life where we were really challenged. I think the day that we first engaged with you was the day that, like, I was surprised Renee even showed up for our first session, to be honest. We were fighting, and it was just like this, two people that really did not, everything was a fight. Everything was a fight. We got to this place where it was like, what's wrong? You know, we loved each other so much. I'm sure you've heard this story, and so many people have too, right? But I remember just a weird, one of those magical moments. I was talking to a guy. I had to accidentally drive him down to San Francisco to go to a bank. And I'm like, I didn't know the guy. He was with my mentoring group that I was with. And I said, okay, I'll drive him. So I'm driving down there. Next thing you know, he's telling me his story. And he's talking about how him and his relationship has kind of come together. And he's worked a lot with this Kelsey girl. And he said, and he's like, you might want to talk to her. So it was like that whole trip was just like the universe going, here you go. And so in a weird way, you're just a absolute, the hand of God in a sense, right? Because we just have a unicorn hand of God. But anyways, but then we started our journey with you, and we signed up for I just took the full package. I'm like, whatever you got, I want the big one. Like, I'm just like, we need the best,
We're going all in. Yeah.
The biggest one you've got. I don't even know what I paid for it. I didn't care. But that's pretty good endorsement. Hey, someone's got to sign up now.
Yes.
But you know, it was weird. Like, you had this cool way of you talk to me separately, you talk to my wife separately, and then we'd have a group kind of session together. Mm-hmm. And that was amazing. Like, honestly, Kelsey, I never had a intimate, close, non-sexually style conversation with a girl that really was intimate. And that was what we had. And that's why I'm like, you're my sister. Like, it's like, I don't know, I get to, when you come to my retreats and stuff, it's just, I just get into this, like, I think I got a little unicorn happening or something.
Yeah, you do.
I'm serious. Like, remember I told you that? I'm like, you do something to me. But it's super comfortable with the female person. And it's different. You know what I mean? Because there's always different energies around that. But and so you heard me, and you helped Renee see the value that I brought to the table and how I was communicating my value. And you taught me about Renee's period, and holy shit, that was big too. Well, I want to get through some of this stuff, because I think some of the stuff that people could just grab hold of through this podcast and literally put it to action right away, and really get an essence of, I'm really big in the results of people, because everyone likes to tell what they do. I just want to show people what you did and how you helped us, to be honest. And so we went through a whole series of communication things, and I learned that when you walk into the house as a man, I don't see any of the mess. Like, I walk into the house, I'm like, no problem. Like, you should see my office right now. I got a couple things on the floor, no problem. Doesn't no problem. So my wife walks into the house, and I've learned, and I didn't get it, I just have to believe it because I don't understand it, is she walks in and everything yells at her and screams at her. It's like, there's a sock on the floor, there's dishes, and I'm just like, hey, you want to get it on? Like, it doesn't work.
Like, I can't.
She's
too
like,
loud in
it's
here.
too loud, I can't do this. I'm like, what's the big deal? You don't even want to do anything, you know, you don't touch me. We go through this thing, and then I realized that there was a lot of things going on, and to get to, not to be I'm going to clean the house, because that doesn't work, but to understand that she's got a lot of noise right now, and to walk into the house and go, okay, you know what, before I can ask for anything, I think I really got to help her clear this noise out. So understanding that was massive. And so I would love to see you break that down for our audience here. And then the whole thing where as a man, I feel like we as men, and I got some background noise here, they're joining us. Someone's here. Yeah. Hey, I see I think as a man, we go and work, and we come home, we provide. Like, I don't know what it is. We're built to provide, and we dominate well at that. We come home, we killed something, put her on the table, paid the bills, and I just want to fucking relax now, you know? And they're like, coming in the door, you're like, well, holy shit, like, don't you know anything around here? I'm like, holy fuck, I just worked for like 9 hours for our family. I think that's a normal conversation that we face, right? Sure. So that was something to understand what was going on, and that Renee had to understand that to shift my energies. And I'd love to bring that too, is how you taught us how to shift our energies from male to female, which is so weird for me. And like, I'm not naturally a unicorn guy, so it takes a little bit longer for me. So anyways, I would love to throw, and then you worked with Renee on a personal level for over a year. And I remember the retreat you took her on. And my wife is like super conservative, you know. Next thing you know, she calls me and goes, Ben, I don't want to give away your secrets, Kelsey, but she goes, Ben, I'm with these girls, and we're going to a nude beach. I don't know what to do. I'm like, something, this is kind of weird. So I'm like, I said, just trust yourself.
Yeah.
So do what you want to do. Who cares what anyone says? And so she went and she kind of did her thing. And that's so great to see someone get out of their norm.
Yeah.
So I won't give the whole secrets of all your stuff, but the whole process has been amazing. And today, Renee was sending me a text today, just how much she loves me and how she just feels so supported, and I've got her back. And and you know what that means to us. Like, it's been a long journey. And so today we're better than we've ever been. And honestly, just wanted to say thank you, Kelsey. You have been a light in our life. And I give you so much credit, but I also take credit. You know what I mean? Like, and with all respect, because I think a lot of people put people on pedestals. I don't want them to do that to you, because it serves them.
Yeah, it takes you doing the work.
Yeah, like I bet you work with people and don't get the results because they didn't do it. Like Renee and I got so fucking serious about, we loved each other and we wanted to make it work.
Yeah.
And we were close. Like, I slept in my own apartment sometimes. Like, it was like not easy. It was brutally hard. But the thing is, I think that you helped us so much, and it is because of you, for real, is that we have this marriage that's working right now, and that's fulfilling. So I really appreciate that. I thank you so much for that.
You're very, very, very welcome. It's my biggest honor. And to see where you guys have come from and where you've ended up is truly phenomenal. And I think it's a testament to both of you being devoted not only to your marriage, but to your own individual paths of growth. Because if you've got two people in a relationship and one person is devoted to their personal growth, their personal development, and living on purpose and doing what their soul was here to do, and the other person is just cruising and they have no interest in developing in that, regard, there's going to be a lot of conflict. There's going to be a lot of trouble that comes down the pipeline for that connection, because you're ultimately growing in different directions. And what I loved most about working with the both of you is that you both were committed to that growth, and what you needed to break through was different than what Renee needed to break through, but it was still on that same track of possibility, of potential, of living on purpose, and really devoting yourself fully to your mission on this planet. And that made you available to really build out the mission of your partnership, which I think is so fantastic.
And Renee had to find her way. Like, I had, in one way, I had always been working on myself a lot and on a mission, because I was so screwed up when I was a little kid. I had to kind of figure myself early, and Renee had a great childhood, but still had stuff, like had to be challenged and had to be worked through. And no one's teaching on what it is to be a woman, what it is to be a man. Like, who's teaching this stuff? Like, that should be a fucking class in school going, okay, you're a woman, and when you have a period, you're gonna have a week that you're gonna be a bitch. And so that's a quote from you, by the way.
I'm not surprised.
I am going to get shot by feminist women. They have to understand.
No,
Call Kelsey to explain.
I will.
Oh yeah, see? No, okay, that's okay then. That's okay. No,
but me out to dry.
That happens. I hate story of my life. But yeah, it's amazing how that's not taught, right? So I love what you're doing, because you understand what it is to be a man, and you understand they're up to kill something in mission and kill. But what is it? What's feminine energy? What does that mean? What is male energy? So what's happening with a woman when she walks into the house and it's not that bad in my mind, and she's just so stressed out, like all these different things. Like, I'm like, there's like 4 things, just I'll pick them up, or I'll tack one room, clean the one room, boom, done. Next room, boom, done. And you systematically, and you get a little reward. See how good that sounds? Doesn't make sense to Renee at all. No. So is that a woman thing then?
Yeah, I think it's more if we go into the dynamics of masculine and feminine energy, because I'm sure this can happen for some men too. I don't want to make a blanket statement, but I think the more feminine energy you have in your system, the more you are going to be affected and impacted by, the state of a room, the state of an environment. And for women, one of the things that is hardwired into us is connection. And, the feminine is all about beautifying spaces. So making them and enhancing life. And so the masculine kind of lays the structure, creates, all the pieces in order to have a life that works. And then the feminine comes in and enhances it. So men and women both have masculine, feminine energy in them. So anytime that you're doing something that beautifies and enhances what you're up to, you're in your feminine energy. Anytime you're in structural building mode, you're in your masculine. But for women, when they come into a room and it's messy, like all of those items in the room, they have a voice. And I know that makes me sound like I'm fucking crazy, but
It did, but I get
yeah,
it now. I get it.
yeah.
Just trust her, folks. She knows what she's talking about. Just
But I
go with it.
walk into a room and like women are up against this image of this ideal woman in their mind that they've constructed through their entire lifetime of being imprinted with the media, with other women influences, men, everything, this picture of an ideal woman. And in their mind, an ideal woman is like Superwoman. She can handle everything. She's got a perfectly clean home. She's super fit. She can have, a full-on career. She can have a family. She's always, lit up and inspired and positive and wants to have sex and like all of these things. That's what like the ideal woman is, that's imprinted into every woman that I've ever known. And so when she comes into the house and all of these items in her environment are not in place, it creates a very loud environment. So they start speaking to her like, oh, you know what, this sock on the floor, well, that wouldn't be there if you were, an actual like ideal great woman. Like a better woman would have this handled.
Yeah,
what
kind of girl would have a sock on the floor? Like if you were any good, you just put it away, or just have a spot for it. Okay.
Yeah. Or like what kind of a woman is, with a guy who is such a slob, like it'll really snowball quite quickly. And so that's why, at least for me in my life and the women that I've worked with, it's so important to have a clear environment. So an unmade bed is technically just an unmade bed. But through the filter of our feminine energy and that ideal woman stereotype that's embedded in our psyche, an unmade bed is the equivalent of just being a shit human who doesn't have their stuff together. And then we're up against that judgment of self all day long. So if we can clear out all of that crap by creating an environment that's clean and that's quiet, that makes her available to actually enhance energy inside of the container of the relationship. So we stop obsessing about the sock on the floor, and then all of a sudden we're available to be present with our partner. We're available to be present to his inner world and to what's important to him. And so it's these, kind of, I don't want to call them tactics, but they kind of are like these ways in which that we engage with each other, and the ways that men can be really generous with women and help understand what's going on in their psyche. And then there's also ways that women can be generous with men and support them as well. So it's not a one-sided, road here. But as a guy, understanding that the second your partner, if she's a woman, walks into the room and things are out of place, like she's already in this place of self-judging, and she's judging against this concept she has of an ideal woman who she thinks that you should be with an ideal woman, and she's not measuring up to that standard now.
Why would you want me?
Why would you want me if I'm not this ideal woman? And
that's huge.
It creates so much tension and unnecessary drama in relationships, to be honest. And
I think of a couple people I know, and I feel like they've, as women, have arrived at, and instead of failing to get there, where most women are going to fail, right? They're going to walk in going, I can't freaking keep up. But what about the women that actually hit this illusion that says, like, they're maintaining it? Like, they're actually these fit, gorgeous, house is clean, career driven. But I think, like, is that, what's the effect of that? Like, someone actually hit it? Like, I think there's because there, you could, some women I think about.
Yeah, I think there's always a cost to it, because we can take on all of those things and live our life according to that ideal standard, but what do we have to give up in order to maintain all of that stuff? Usually our sense of fulfillment, our sense of purpose. And, I've known women who, do manage all of that stuff. But then if I really got to the heart of the matter with them and asked them if they were happy and fulfilled in their life, the answer would be no most of the time, and we have to give ourselves permission to be human. And being human doesn't mean being perfect. It means being perfectly imperfect. And if we're trying to hold ourselves to this standard of perfection, like, we can only maintain that for so long until some of our old crap, catches up with us, or let's say we get sick and then we can't maintain those things, and then our entire world gets thrown into chaos.
Do you think this kind of women, I mean, we're just running down a rabbit trail, I was curious, like you'd almost have to control everything.
Yeah.
In a relationship, you don't want anyone to tip that, because it's like, what if someone knows I'm not really this person?
Mm-hmm. And that's really what it comes down to, is that illusion of control. And so if we see someone who's trying to really control their external environment, it's often happening because internally, on an emotional level, they feel out of control. And by managing externally, it kind of gives them a sense of grounding. And without that, it turns into this fucking mudslide of a situation where they're pulled into the undertow of all of this emotional debris that they haven't dealt with from their past. And so, like, in terms of like living a full, integrated, happy life, I think it's really important to understand what are, the high level items that need to be accounted for. Like, what are the things that just make your life work? Is it making the bed? Is it picking up the sock? Is it scheduling your week? Like, what is it that has you really feel alive? And what is it that actually enhances your energy? What creates, more vitality in your system? Because if we're doing all of these things on a checklist because we think that it makes us the ideal person or it gives us a sense of control, we're also draining our vitality tank. And especially as women, that's not a fun place to be. Like, a woman who is drained of her vitality is not a fun woman to be around. That's someone who's going to try and control her partner, and likely has a lot of insecurity bubbling underneath the surface, because the internal narrative is, I'm not enough and I need to do all these things in order to be chosen. So what that throws us into is hustling for our worth. And I have to keep up all of this stuff in order to get the love that I want, instead of, I'm just going to drop in and be my fabulous self. And I'm going to prioritize certain things in my life that have my life work, and let that enhance my experience of being alive, because that's what actually contributes to a really healthy partnership. Like, a healthy partnership cannot thrive in a container where one or both people are drained in their vitality.
Do you know too, on that note, like, I hear you say, like, you just be your wonderful self. So the thing is, though, what if, like, I just kind of think about, for so many years, Kelsey, like, I can relate to what you're saying. I think it's human. Like, women and men are doing it in different ways. They have different energy. I think I just want to be loved. I just want to be liked. I just got to prove myself to be the best. And once I'm the best, they'll maintain that, and then everyone can love me. And then you realize, holy shit, I'm a piece. Like, if anyone ever found out what's really going on, and you have this, I think that's kind of where we're all at in some level. But do you know what I've realized lately and helps our relationship? I'd love to hear you kind of comment on it, is when I'm me and Renee, or anyone, even some of the coach people I work with, it's not about being my wonderful self. It's about being myself. So today I have insecurity. Okay. I still want people to like me. Now, so sometimes that's a shadow that shows up, but guess what? I can tell you in front of millions of people that I have an insecurity, that I want to be liked. And I have an old side effect of people pleasing. Some people might not get it because I'm crazy straight shooter, because I've really enjoyed breaking through that.
Yeah.
But because I'm comfortable with that insecurity, it actually goes away. So I feel like being my wonderful self is almost intimidating. But if I can just be me, with, like, it's almost like to be comfortable with being angry sometimes. And all this, with great conversations we can have on this. But when Renee's comfortable with, being her, like a woman's comfortable with a little belly, man, she's a woman that can't be controlled. Imagine, hey, fatty, big deal. You know what I mean? Or whatever, like, or just, you can't be controlled at all. You're just calmer. You're just who I am. Doesn't mean we're giving up on ourselves, but I think there's this place of confidence, is we think it's got to be amazing. I'm the wonderful self. I think we just got to be us, whether it's good or bad. You know what I mean? If we can get comfortable with where we're at today, not saying we're sitting in it. I think I think we get taught to meditate more, work out more, do these things. But really, what if you just got real with who you are and just be that person?
Yeah.
And Like,
totally. And
what do you
embrace
think?
the totality. Yeah, I 100%. And when I say like, be your glorious, fabulous self, I mean all of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I
There
think
you
is
go.
glorious. That's what I think is fabulous, when
Cool.
someone can actually own the totality of their humanity.
Yeah,
I
good
don't,
and bad.
yeah, I
Or
don't
rough
want
around
to
the edges or whatever.
exactly. Like, I don't actually find it safe or attractive to be around someone who is disassociated from their shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And by their shadow, I mean those parts of them that are angry, that are sad, that are frustrated, that get fired up, that are insecure. Like, if someone is out of touch with that part of themselves, they're fundamentally unsafe, because they are not going to be
Highly
able to,
unpredictable.
highly unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what is going to trip them up, trigger them, set them off, and any little thing could.
Mm-hmm.
And that does not create an environment of emotional safety. And emotional safety is at the baseline of any healthy relationship. You have to know that
Totally.
it is emotionally safe and your relationship is
Mm.
secure, so you can bring all of yourself to the mix. But if you have a partner that you have to censor yourself around because they can't handle your anger, or they can't handle your sadness, or they can't handle your feelings, or whatever it is, well, then you start shutting down those parts of yourself. And then we go from this brilliant, fabulous self to the shell of a human who is like constantly tipping around on eggshells, like trying not to upset anyone, because I need to be this certain person in order to be liked, in order to be loved. And
yeah,
that's exhausting.
yeah,
And
totally,
so
totally.
to be able to create that space of acceptance within yourself. And this is where the work comes in.
The work. Yeah.
This is like, it's easy to say in theory that, you know, just be yourself, just accept yourself.
It's a cliche
like,
part of it, right? We're
cliche.
it's kind of mainstream and popular now. Like, be yourself. Yeah. Or
here's
even
a
just
meme, it fixes your life.
a
Like,
fucking meme,
no.
you know, or just say the shit you want and then you be an asshole, be yourself. That doesn't work either. You know, like, you know, some people are just be like, I'm just say myself. I'm an asshole, or I'm a bitch. That's just who I am. That's not even you.
No.
Like, that's just this game
that's
that it's just
the wounded part of you.
Yeah. So I'll share something with you. I think because it's a little bit risky too. I don't care. This part I'm going to share is one thing that happened after, like we, even the word connection, Kelsey, like we don't know what that means. Because we haven't, like how and you know this stuff too, but how our brain works is we use historical data to predict the future. So if something happens in our life, like if we say what connection is, but you've never really experienced true connection, you legitimately will use old data that you thought were connection, and it'll just be kind of connection. It won't be real. But once I think you get to the place of doing the work for so long, and you do the work and you really get honest, a connection shows up and you're like, what was that? And what I'm explaining is, my wife and I were talking one day, and she starts trusting me with a conversation, with her feelings, and she started trusting me almost like, okay, I think he's safe. And it was like, I'm sitting there and deep down, that's all I wanted. I just want to hold her. I want to just be her guy. I want to be the safety. And I wasn't all the time. I was unpredictable, and I couldn't give that to her. And it was like this moment. And do you know what happened? I physically got aroused. Okay. So I got a total erection. It was the coolest thing ever. So I got an email to kill here. I got an erection, and it was through connection, Kelsey. Like it's just
erection
like
connection.
We should want to do a workshop. Erection connection. That would be, you know, no porn stars allowed. Only real
real couples. Only
real couples. But yeah, but it gave me this crazy awareness. I want to share this with the world. That connection, like I feel like that's where porn has come in and given me the same reaction as the connection. The physical reaction to porn was the same as a real connection with my wife. And I went, holy shit.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost like it's a replacement. Like if I don't think I would, I'm not a big porn guy, but the thing is though, if I don't think you'd ever need it if you truly had connection with your wife. Because I actually got aroused because she trusted me, and we had this moment together, and it's now happened 3 or 4 times just from conversation. It's crazy, eh? What do you have to say about that?
You know, I love that we're going in this direction, because
like erections or just the trust thing. Okay.
all of it.
All of
it. There's a difference between being aroused and being turned on. So arousal is what will happen when we're stimulated by content in porn. It's an arousal. It's a response. It's like, you know, Pavlov's dog, you know, like there's a response that's happening to the stimulus. But then when it comes to actual turn on, this is a whole different ball game. And turn on requires not only connection to self, but connection to other. And turn on is that deep, juicy connection that's happening, that's birthed out of the space of vulnerability. So what you're talking about is your wife is being vulnerable, but you're also open and receptive to her vulnerability because you're in touch with your own. And that creates this really extraordinary connection between the two of you that turns you on. And it also turns her on from the inside out. And this is really what we want to go for when it comes to just walking through life. You know, we want to walk through life being turned on from the inside out. And then when we take that into the bedroom, into our sex lives, it enhances our experience of sex and intimacy. Because there's such a deepening of connection and vulnerability there. Because without that emotional connection, we're just banging it out and, you know, hopefully have an orgasm.
Yeah, and it feels good. It's like a roller coaster, big deal, right? Like it's fun, but
it's fun.
That's why women, I think, want to talk a little bit before they want to have sex. Some of them, I'm not saying everybody, you know, people like to jump into it, but traditionally, like it's funny, Renee and I are talking a little bit more before we have sex.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, well, we have 5 kids. So sometimes it's like, let's go 1, 2, 3, bang it out. And then half the time you got a kid banging on the door. It's not fun, but we get it done. But anyways, so that's the 5 kids having sex. They got to get it in when you can. But anyways, but like when we actually have like more than like 10 minutes, we usually talk. And it's funny because right before having sex, it's almost like if there's anything going on, like this is what I didn't realize. I think I needed it too. Men need this too. I don't think they really realize, but my wife for sure needs a conversation going like, hey, remember that a couple of days ago? Like it's almost like the unhealthy would be like in a fight, you know, you did this a few days ago, but right before sex, it's like, you know what, let's clear this up quick. So it's a little, it's the same thing that happens. It's just coming through a healthy flow. It's like almost respectful, right? So we have this conversation and all of a sudden it's like, boom, we got sparks going and we haven't even touched each other yet. So it's new to us in the last year. And it's like, but it's just like this new awareness. Our brain now is working for us going, we know what connection is now. We got a little glimpse of it.
Absolutely. And a lot of that came through both of your individual experiences on your path of growth and development, because the more you dive into the path of growth and development, you actually cultivate that experience of connection with yourself. And a lot of people have no clue what it feels like to be connected to themselves. You know, there's some quote about health and wellness of like, people don't understand how good their body is designed to feel because we're pumping it full of toxins all day long. We're eating shitty food. We're drinking dirty water. We're not sleeping. We're pushing ourselves too far. So we actually don't really have any context for what it feels like to live in a body that feels good to live in, but also live a life where we feel connected to ourselves, where we're connected to our intuition, but we're also connected to our intellect. Like we need both.
Yeah. And that's a huge point. A huge point. So many people just think that our thinking is going against us or my stupid brain. And you know, like the thing is, it's brilliant. It can work for you. It like,
absolutely,
legitimately. Like I like my brain. It used to be like I only trust my gut. Like my brain's pretty freaking good. Once it's got enough good data, it works for you.
Yeah, when you've cultivated a mindset that is congruent with success, you know, that's where a lot of people get tripped up. Like we don't have a mindset that is predisposed to, you know, look for the best case scenario. Most people have a mindset that sets them up to look for the worst case scenario, and then they end up, you know, acting in ways that reinforce those results, that reinforce the story that they can't get what they want, or, you know, their dreams aren't possible, or success is not for them. And so it really starts up in the mind. We've got to clear out all of the crap that's been implanted into our brain, wash it out, and reprogram it. And I know that makes me sound a little culty, but it's true.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Because we have to reprogram the mind machine in order to start looking for what you said, like new data.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's so easy. And like, I was talking about this in one of my group classes today, of like being in a customs line. And most people who are in a customs line are anxious, they're worried, and they're like replaying like all of these worst case scenarios of like, what if my bags don't get arrived? Like, what if they don't let me through customs? Like, are they going to think that I'm some criminal, even though you haven't done anything wrong?
You
Like,
create the energy though, it makes you look like that.
Energy, it makes you look guilty.
It does.
And then when I went through customs in November, I was in the UK and everyone's in line. I can tell that they're stressed, and I'm like, got my earbuds in, I'm like having a gay old time, like listening to music. And I'm like thinking of the best case scenario. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get the best customs officer, and they're going to be so happy, and they're going to be so excited to talk to me, and it's going to be easy, and I'm just going to breeze on through. My bags are going to be there. It's going to be so easy for me to settle into my hotel. My hotel is going to be ready early. And so I spent the entire customs line visualizing that happening. Cool. And I get to the counter, and this guy asks me, he's like, oh, what are you doing in the UK? I'm like, oh, I'm only here for 2 days because I'm going to lead a retreat in Spain. And he's like, oh, what's the retreat about? And like, it's heal your heartbreak. And basically what I do is I help men understand women better, and women understand men better. And in the context of this retreat, we're doing it around breakups. And he's like, what? He's like, I need what you do. And then he he hits like the officer beside him. He's like, dude, did you hear what you just said?
Isn't that amazing? Like, that's even better than the best case. Come on.
I'm like, beauty. I just got 2 new international clients. Okay.
Yeah, lock and loaded. That's cool. So cool.
You know, but magical things like that begin to happen when we program the mind. And the thing about reprogramming a mindset, it's consistency and repetition, which people are looking for that instant fix. The amount of people who write me on Instagram being like, can you give me an inspirational quote to change my life and heal my trauma? I'm like, no.
You did not get that. Did you? You did not get that message.
More than once. I wish.
Can you give me an inspirational quote to heal my life or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't even respond. I was annoyed. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
It just shows the state of the awareness around it though. Like, it just shows the lack of awareness, and it's almost a little bit compassionate, to be honest. Like, wow, it's almost a little like frustrating and sad, because it's like it's so far away from the truth. Like, it's just like, so the question, when that happens, do you hit them right between the eyes, or do you just be like, do you do like a real nice unicorn thing? Like, hey.
I usually do a unicorn thing, but I take a day or two, because I normally get really fired up and I can get very judgmental. Okay. And so I take some time to really digest it. Because that's my normal, like, immediate jerk response. To be like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, no, there's not a meme that will save your life. Like, you have to get into the ring of your life, and you have to practice. You have to show up, and you have to take those shots every single day. And like, do the squats, do the fucking burpees. Yeah. Like, it's uncomfortable.
Do you know what, Kelsey? I'm going to hit you straight here. So I've been working with you for a long time. I see a lot of what you do. I swear you need to do that more. Like, I'm not joking. There's something about, you're seeing it as judgment. I see it as passion sometimes. I think sometimes you're probably so careful about yourself that you actually miss the opportunity to hit someone right between the eyes. That is the missing, if I had to say, you're complete. I get it. But if I was to say one area that I'd love to see more of, Kelsey, is a fucking little bit tougher and fucking like, I want to not, and but it's not judgment. It's like, fuck, come on guys, get up. Because I've seen in my own life, like, I've really embraced that. And the shifts that I've seen in my people that I work with, they don't, like, it's like super challenging to be working with me, but I'm going to like they need a little bit of a kick in the ass. And I think that energy that comes up may not just be judgment, because there's compassion in that. You're not looking at them as judging. You're saying, holy shit, you're wasting your fucking life. You're looking for another meme. Can you get off your ass, and you need to do this, and then call me, and I got your back. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to like hit you a little bit, because I think I'm not even joking. I think there's another level for you when you really do that. So,
absolutely. And I can feel it coming. Really. Like, there's been a lot more feistiness in me lately. And I think it's just, a natural progression when, like, you're in business for this long and you hear the same things over and over and over. And I just have to get really good at, being efficient in dealing with that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just about speaking your truth and not worrying about the outcome. Yeah. Like, I'm willing to I risk relationships on it all the time. Sure. But the results, my brain is now working for me, because I was like, holy shit, I fucked that up. But then almost time they come around and like, there's like real change. Like when it's like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it just takes like I'm the guy that needed to be hit. Like I needed to be like, I'm like, no, I know what's going on, and I could talk and manipulate like the best of them. And then I just needed someone to be like, Ben, you're fucking closed. I'm like, no, I'm open. You're the most closed guy I've ever met. That was my mentor.
Yes.
And I was Phil McKernan. I'm just like,
what?
Some people don't hear you by being nice.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Anyway, so I don't mean to just sit and I didn't mean to do that, but I'm doing it right now. I'm legitimately risking my relationship with you on a show, telling you. But I wanted to publicly say I want to see more of that. I want to see more, not feisty or nothing, just hard, unpolished truth. That's what I want. Just so you know.
I love it.
Okay, question for you.
All right.
Okay, so this is a podcast about everything is coming from within. Like all these people teaching business strategies. Like when I teach strategies in business, sure, I'm good at marketing and good at sales and all that stuff. But without the internal growth, it legitimately is a waste of time. Like it does not, it's a complete waste of time. The person behind the strategy has to be looked at. That's what this podcast is about. That's what we're talking about, relationships in a business format. The thing is though, tell me this, give me some time, and the vulnerable, the better. It would be great. I want to hear the real stuff. Is that what have you had to overcome in your life that directly affected the success of your business? So you have to overcome something personally to actually go, you know what, I'm success. If I wouldn't have overcome this, I wouldn't have hit this level.
Right. I think a lot of it had to do with believing in myself, because there was a big part of me that didn't actually believe that I was worthy, that I was enough, that I had something valuable to say. Like when I first started, the amount of people who were like, why should I listen to you? Like, why should I be taking advice from someone who's like half my age?
Yeah.
And so it really fueled that old story of like, who am I to say this? Who am I to support people in this way? And, you know, coming up against, you know, judgments. I mean, my family has been pretty supportive, like my immediate family, but you know, like I've always felt like kind of the black sheep of the family, kind of doing things very differently. And so overcoming that sense of isolation too, from my family of origin, of breaking away from my family and going down this path that, you know, I couldn't see the end destination. It was scary. And I just had to learn how to have faith in myself. And that wasn't an easy thing. Like there were times when I first started my business where I was like, okay, so I literally don't know how I'm going to pay rent. And we either buy food or the electricity bill. And so there was a lot of
food,
really,
just, you know, I
think we did.
I'm having got something. I'm not sure. I'm not giving up food. Anyways, sorry.
But like, it's one of those things where like being really confronted by your actual like baseline needs, and how am I going to maintain my basic needs for shelter, food, safety, but also, you know, keep trucking along my business when I'm really the only one who can see and believe in the finish line. Like there's a lot of people who didn't believe in what I was doing. And you know, it's only after like I hit a certain level of success that they all kind of turn around. They're like, yeah, we've always had her back. Like,
yeah, story of how it goes. Oh yeah, we knew you were going to make it. Like, you know what? But it's, I think it comes down to your own self-belief, like you said, right? Yeah. So how did you, was it a progression? Was there points where you had to like, just say, fuck it, I got to do this? Like how did you get self-belief? I know that's a really hard question because there's layers, but like, how did that shift? Like, why didn't you quit?
It had a lot to do with my community. So I did leave my family. I did leave the city that I grew up in, and I moved to a brand new city.
Amazing.
So I just literally packed my car and I left, and I had no plan, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I get here and I'm like, I got to figure it out. I'm in a new city. This is a new slate.
Cool. And you had to rely on yourself.
Yeah. And so 6 months into being out in Vancouver, I ran in, like literally collided with a guy that I did a personal development course with. And we kind of looked at each other. We're like, we both live in this city now. That's not a coincidence. We should hang out. So we hung out, and he's like, I got to introduce you to my friends. He's like, I think that you're the missing piece.
Come on. You're like,
and I'm like, okay.
That sounds good.
And so he introduces me to all of his friends, and like, it's this whole crew of guys. Like, there is not one woman in this group. And I'm like, this is interesting. And all of them are pretty high achievers, high performers. They'd been in personal development, mindset. Like, they were very much in the Bob Proctor kind of train. And so we meet, and then all of us just click. And within, a month, we're all building a business together. And like, my feminine energy was the missing piece.
Wow.
It was the missing piece that the masculine needed in order to amplify what it had structurally been building. And so being in an environment of friends like that, who, like, there was no feminine influence. It was a very masculine energy of like, no, we get up at 5:45. You don't get up at 5:46. It's 5:45. And then we're meditating, and we're journaling, and then we're doing this, and then we're going to the gym, and then we're getting smoothies, and then we're doing coffee, and then we have our team meeting. And like, everything was so structured. And that was exactly what I needed in order to reprogram my mind machine and to actually get on track to be able to build that self-belief. Because I had this crew of people who, when I didn't believe in myself, they were cheering me on. They believed in me.
Do you think that, like, I think about these groups of people, like I think someone would say, hey, I have that story, but I disagree. Like, I think people have the same story where like, oh no, I've got my girlfriends and I've got my guys, I got my bros, and I don't have what you're talking about.
Right.
And I just want to make a differentiate, because if that's a word, differentiation is because I think what they're doing is seeing Kelsey Grant for Kelsey Grant. They're seeing past your stuff. They look at you, and they like, I feel like the people that know you, they can support you, but it's not like, oh no, you're amazing, Kelsey. You're amazing. Like, it's not like that, right? Is that, am I reading that right? Like,
Yeah.
there's something deeper.
It's so much deeper, and it was an alignment on a core value level. So you can have friends that you shoot the shit with, and like, you go watch sports with,
got your back,
like, but really when push comes to shove, they don't fucking have your back.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even see you maybe.
Yeah. And so these people, they actually saw my essence, and like, it felt like the social circle that I'd always been longing to be in my entire life. It felt like coming home. I felt like I could finally be all of myself in the presence of these people. And from what I've heard back from them, that's the gift that I've also given them, is that freedom to be who they truly are. And so our social circle is unique. Like, I haven't met a lot of social circles like the one that I'm a part of.
It's beautiful.
And, people kind of kick back on that too. Like, oh, that must be nice. But I fucking created it myself. Like,
don't even start. Exactly.
I had to
that gets me going
from another city and put myself in a city where I knew two people. One of them was an ex-boyfriend. Like, I knew two people, and I had to
go. You created that. Like, you own that shit, but that's how you believe in yourself, because you fucking made it happen. Yeah. The thing is, so would you say that how you overcame was a bit of a step of faith?
Absolutely. And
so you think, would that be a could you replicate that? Could you teach that? Or is it just your story? Like, just like, how much of people's life, like, do they need that step of faith?
I think we do. I think it's a step of courage, and you're going to need that courage regardless of whether you're going for your dream or if you're building a relationship. Like, you have to have courage. You have to have courage to act as if this has already happened, to act as though like, I just, it's inevitable. Like, it's happening.
Yeah.
And if you don't have faith in yourself on that level, like, and it doesn't mean you have to have 100% faith in yourself 100% of the time, but you have to have some, and you have to have the courage to take action in the direction of your dream, in the direction of what it is you want to achieve. And you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to
work, right?
Yeah. Like, if you want to take one step a week, like, maybe you'll get there in your entire lifetime, but probably not. Yeah. You have to be consistent every day, and you have to really deconstruct your entire day.
So that means that I find that if you are going in the direction that you're designed for, which I think is most people aren't. And that's why they can't be consistent, because because you don't have that spiritual, godlike energy that just lives in you, that drives you, where if you had one leg, you're still doing it. I'm going to run the race with one leg. Like, if you can find your thing, then I think the consistency shows up. So a lot of people try consistency first. Like, they're just like, oh, I can't be consistent. Well, you're not doing the thing that you want to do. You just want to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that has to be clear. Okay.
Absolutely.
So we're going fast here, Kelsey.
I know.
This is like really fast. I just want to see a couple things here. Okay, so what is courage? I was going to ask you. So you say people have to have courage. What is courage?
I think, at least for me, it's been the ability to speak my truth and own what's honestly there for me. And, even if that means looking different, building this business has not been something that, is kind of run of the mill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was annoyed that there wasn't relationship education out in the world. Sure. And so I built a company that provides it.
Yeah,
and I saw a niche and I went for it. And so courage is knowing not only who I am, but also being brave enough to take an action every day that takes me closer to that end destination. Mm-hmm. Even if that action is showing up and drinking a liter of water when I first wake up so that my brain is rebooted, my gut is working, my digestion's on point so that I can actually digest my day. Mm-hmm. and digest the experiences that are happening to me or that I'm experiencing. And so for me, courage is having clarity of who I am, what I stand for, what my core values are, where I want to go in my life, and then being bold enough to speak that into form and to speak that and tell people my truth, but also take action in alignment with that. And like you said, like the actions that we need to be consistent with first are the actions that help us reboot and reconnect with ourselves so that we can have that clarity of what it is that we want to devote ourselves to. And I think a lot of people,
sometimes movement can get you clarity too, right?
Sure,
like people sit
absolutely.
forever trying to get clarity. I think just try stuff, go move, and it becomes clear, right? Like I think that's it's a big deal going. If it doesn't work, just don't be too attached to it. Like just go, just as long as you're not attached to it, right?
And what you're going to get up to is going to change, and it's going to have so many different forms. And I think that's where people get stuck too, is that they think that it has to be this one way. Like when I first started, I was just going to be a coach. I wasn't going to build a company that teaches relational education. And, now I'm 35, and a couple months ago, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do music again. And I'm going to do both. Like, fuck people who tell me I can't do both.
No, I love it. I love it. I try to follow these rules, Kelsey. Like I called a guy to help me build an online training program, right? So I talked to the guy. Every time I go any direction, I feel sick. I don't listen to anybody. And I'm like, I have to build this myself. Do you feel the same way?
Mm-hmm. That's why I've done what I've done.
That's why I feel like I'm like you can't do a podcast and train in real estate agents. I'm like, fuck it. Like it doesn't, the business, I can do anything. Like, it's just like, and guess what? I don't care. Like there's there's this feeling of like, people have a lot of ways to do things and I have to find my way. Absolutely. And I think that's the most beautiful thing ever. It's okay. I love the no rules in this life. Mm-hmm. So here's a question to you. What do you think, what's going on with, if you were to say what's wrong with relationships? I know there's lots, but I'm just saying, like, if you had to say like you only had like 2 or 3 minutes, legitimately only have 2, 3 minutes. What's wrong with relationships today?
Oh gosh. I think that they're being entered into for a lot of wrong reasons. We enter into a relationship because we think it will deliver us from all of the pain and suffering and humanness that we experience. When in fact, a relationship is only going to amplify what it is that is already there.
Wow.
So like going into a relationship with a checklist of like, he needs to make this much money, they need to look a certain way, they need to have this kind of job. That's choosing a partner for all the wrong reasons. That tells you nothing about your relational compatibility or their ability to be responsive to your needs. And so I think one of the big problems is people are disconnected from who they are and they don't know what they need. They don't have the proper language to express their feelings, and being disassociated from our own emotional world, then that gets dumped on a partner and it gets put on the other person. Like, no, it's your job to fix this. It's your job to make me feel good. And if you're not making me feel good, then this must be the wrong relationship. So bye. And I'm going to start again with somebody else. And that's such a problem. And
do you feel that people are then, so what I hear you saying in my own interpretation is that people are trying to find their worth, their value, their self-worth, their significance outside of themselves. And then finding it, and that means that they'll see like, hey, this person can help me, or this person's my equal, but like, is that what you're saying? They're coming at it where it's almost like that person's filling that gap?
Yeah, like, because we have that hole that our self-love and our self-worth is supposed to fill. And there's a reason why it's called self-worth, self-love. It is yourself. Like, you have to fill that. And if we don't fill that void, we will look to someone else to fill that void for us. And that's an impossible task. And that is so unfair to put on someone.
Do you find that people live in a lot of relationships that are just like, one of them are just constantly trying to feed the other one? Like, they're just trying to make them happy constantly?
Yeah. Or you've got two people who are kind of emotionally cut off. And so they're numb, and then they're just coexisting in each other's space. I would rather literally be single and have 50 cats and, twirl ribbon wands for the rest of my life.
Seriously. I would do that too.
Like that. Yeah.
And that's weird. You can just imagine me twirling wands and stuff. I'd do it. Next time I'm there, we'll videotape it. That'll be good social media stuff. Someone might like it.
I've got a bunch.
Okay, so I'm gonna I got some lightning round questions for you. Okay. And they're kind of dumb, but they're kind of good.
Perfect.
Okay.
I like it.
Just for fun. Okay. Question number one. What rejuvenates you the most when you feel burnt out?
Sleep.
I was just gonna ask you a cool question. Just wait. I thought of something earlier. I got like 9 seconds. So I'm dropping this. It's gone. Okay. Question number two.
Okay.
You were just asked to create a snatch. Okay. We were just asked to create a scratch and sniff sticker. Describe the image on it and the smell.
Probably a cat in the clouds, and it would probably smell like coconut, vanilla, and strawberries all mashed together.
Wow. I probably literally have said that. Okay, so I could have known that. Okay, question number three. What is one rule from your childhood that you no longer agree with as an adult?
That punishment should be in isolation. So
go to your room,
be quiet. I think that there's much better ways that we can adjust and inspire behavioral patterns that are much healthier than, creating this energy of like, it's a punishment to be alone, because then as adults, we have this, resistance to being alone. And so we see people like jumping into relationships because they don't want to be alone, because usually somewhere in their childhood, they were punished for being, and like their punishment was being alone.
Yeah, that's really insightful. That's cool. I have another question then.
Okay.
Is if you were to start a school for kids today, a school to educate, what would it look like?
Fun.
I have a feeling that you've thought of this.
I have.
I had this gut feeling. I'm like, I just looked at you. I'm like, you know the answer. This is not new. Okay, let's hear what you got.
It would be fun. It would be an environment where kids are encouraged to learn in their own unique learning style. So like, there are so many different styles in which we learn, and kids feel like they don't belong or there's something wrong with them if they're only learning in one way. So I'm a very auditory and kinesthetic learner. So I'm very tactile. I like to touch things, and I learn the best when I listen. So being in a school, where I could actually listen to programs or experience education that way while I'm touching things, while I'm doing stuff, I'm moving, that helps me integrate it. And so to give kids the opportunity to know that they're normal, based on, these multiple different learning styles, and finding a way to actually educate them through things like life, learn how to be responsible for yourself, because y'all are going to be growing your own food. And if you don't, do that like properly, you're not going to eat. And so there's a consequence there. And so we're learning real life skill sets, but then we're also bringing in this element of relational education. So giving kids like actual language around boundaries, language around their feelings, language around their emotions, and being able to say, no, that's not okay. It's not okay with me to talk to me like that, because kids get walked over all the time, and their truth is minimized over and over and over and over, because an adult is too tired to deal with them. And so we see these kids learning self-abandonment so early, and to create an environment where they're safe to explore their truth, but in a way that's respectful, not only to themselves, but to everyone else in the room, I think would be incredibly special. I feel very passionate about this.
Yeah, I can see it. As soon as I asked a question, I was like, I just felt the energy, like, boom, here it comes.
Yeah.
So is that something in your heart you want to do sometime?
It's part of why I'm building a relational education platform, because, I've got to start with adults. I've got to start with, the demographic who can actually afford to do this education. But as I see clients go through, they're like, man, I wish my kids had,
Totally.
access to this.
Totally.
And so like there's conversations now about going into schools and having these conversations about emotional education and relational education, which I think is really cool. And I think that's the first step, and down the line, who knows, maybe I'll have a castle and it will be this amazing education center for kids who are just kids, not specially gifted kids, just kids.
Just
and
kids.
Just come.
It's funny. I ask my kids, I go, you like school? Boring.
Yeah.
It's so, like, no one likes it, and I'm cool with them not liking it. I'm like, I don't like it either. Tell you the truth, just get through it. Trust me, there's bigger and better things coming. Like, sometimes it's just boring. What happened to me? Like, if it was fun, I'm like, what's your favorite subject? Recess and gym. I'm like, well, I gotta say though, my son is learning code and he's got some cool stuff going in junior high, but it's happening more in the later years. But the early years is just boring. But okay, I'll do another question here. I got a couple more. If you were to have a motion picture made of you, who would you like? Which actor would you like to play you?
Oh, I think a sassy Rachel McAdams.
Cool.
I love her.
Name something very popular that is totally overrated.
Alcohol.
Well, there's a whole new show. Bring it back. I feel like there's a whole topic on that baby right there. Okay, so you're a moth. What's your flame? What draws you in?
Love.
All
the time. Love. That's it.
Okay, so name an animal, which is name an animal you identify the most and explain why.
I mean, I'm obsessed with cats. I love them because they are independent. They know what they want, and they have great boundaries. Like, if they're not in the mood to be petted, they're like, F this human, I'm out of here. I'm going to go nap all day. And I'm like, yes, rest when you're tired, play when you're feeling playful, be affectionate when you want to be affectionate. I literally have a cat little figurine right
That's
here.
Amazing. I get to know you for real. You're a cat lady.
Yeah, it's true.
Crazy cat lady right here.
Right here. I'll own it.
Do you have a cat?
I don't. I can't have a pet in this apartment, or else I probably would.
Okay, so what's a favorite way to eat chocolate?
Slowly, probably.
Slowly?
Yeah. I like to savor chocolate. Like, I also have chocolate right here.
Yeah.
And like this piece of chocolate, I've literally been eating it for like 3 weeks.
Just and like I just a nibbler.
I snap off a piece and I just put it in my mouth and let it dissolve and like actually just enjoy the experience of that.
It's that good though. That's why, right? That's why.
Is.
So here's a question. If you had to ask me any question, what would you ask me?
Any question? What is it that you would like to leave the world with when you die? What is the impact that you ultimately want to have?
That people would challenge every single belief they've ever been given, throw it away so they can find what they believe.
I love it.
Yeah.
So good.
Life mission. Cool. Well, I think we got to wrap up, Kelsey.
Yeah, that was great.
First, before we do that, we got to promote all the shit you're doing because I want to help you. And I think a lot of people in this world will help you. You have that energy about you. I love you. You're beautiful. And you have made, I feel like crying. You've made a huge impact in my life. So let's talk about what you're up to. So how can we help? How can people come connect with you?
Well, we have 2 main programs that we're up to in the spring. We've got our Self-Love 101 Mastermind, and that's a 3-month program to go through the fundamentals of self-love and rebooting that connection to self. And that's taught by my team of graduates and facilitators. And then I teach my Year of Love Masterclass, and I have another round of that happening in June. And it's a year-long program to dive into all of those belief systems, habits, patterns in love and in life. And the whole premise of the program is to get you on purpose and to have you connected to the love that you deserve.
That's what Renee took?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And so we do a lot of work around purpose in that class, but it's a relational class. So we're getting all the skill sets to understand men better, to understand women better. So we go into those 4 different women that every woman
becomes. 4 moons or whatever.
Yeah,
every week's different. The creative. What are they? Just hit them real quick. What are the 4 moons real quick?
Well, phase
just
1.
Just to tease people, because I think this is like one of your like, hey, do you want the free giveaway to sign up here? I'm telling you. I feel like that is high value stuff for guys. You want to know what's going on with your wife on week 3, 2, 1, and 4? Trust me, you're going to want to know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so,
what is it real quick?
The first week you have like high energy, like you can kind of conquer, like Superwoman is kind of what comes to mind. Then we go into week 2, which is very motherly, relationally, and there's a lot about connection and intimacy. Then we hit week 3, which I call Crunch Week, and this is where shit gets real. And
did you change the name of Crunch Week, or is Bitch Week coming?
No, Crunch Week and Bitch Week are the same week.
I see. Okay, we're softening it. Okay, it's Crunch Week. I'll stop that too.
I like the word crunchy. Like it seems more accurate for me. Like,
you know what? It is actually, because it's bitch is really harsh. Like I get it. Like it doesn't necessarily, but crunchy. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, like
it's a bit crunchy.
Fucking crunchy.
It's a great name, actually.
Yeah.
Anyways. I'm loving that. The crunchy. That's like marketable. Like, man, crunchy. That's a great one. Anyways, I'm like, get creative. I'm like, what can you do with it? Anyways.
So that's the week where shit gets real. Everything that's been kind of pushed under the surface rises up and like you can't avoid it. And then the final week is the week of wisdom. And that's where we drop in and we can really hear our truth clearly. But the key is, if we have been avoiding all of the stuff in the 3 weeks before, like it makes it very difficult to hear what is true and where we're being guided next. And so like those, we obviously unpack them way more in the curriculum.
Sure. Yeah.
I also
that's the 1 year.
Yeah, that's
and
the
it's
1 year.
You still doing every week or every 2 weeks?
Yeah. Every week we get on a call, and there's a curriculum that goes with it. So every week you get a module. Every week there's a group coaching call, and every week there's an assignment to integrate what you've learned. Because
it's incredible curriculum too. Like I've been exposed to it to a point, so it's really cool. Have you ever done it for guys?
We're looking at launching it for 2019, the start of 2019.
Cool.
We just got to figure out how we're going to launch it, because I'm not too keen on doing another group program, but we might do it more on like a webinar style where I'm teaching in that regard. We're playing with a couple different options, but yes, we're rewriting the curriculum because there are certain things that are really valid for women that, you know, we need to touch on with men, but there are other things that are much more valid for men.
Totally.
And so I have to rework it just a little bit, but we're going to start doing webinars for men in May.
Cool.
So
beautiful.
The first one.
Let me know. I'll share it all.
Okay, great.
What else you got going? So you doing any heal your pain in Spain? How did that go? Is it good?
Oh my gosh, it's
got to be one of your favorite things. Come on.
Like,
retreats are amazing.
They are amazing.
They're my favorite thing to do.
It was incredible. Like the fact that we pulled off an international retreat last year, and we did it around the essence of heartbreak and healing heart. Like, oh, so good. This year we're switching gears a little bit, and we're going to do a pleasure retreat instead.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So
whose idea was that?
Well, it was both Kai and I after we finished the retreat last year, and we're like, okay, that was amazing.
It's part 2.
But it was also really heavy. Like we're dealing with heartbreak, and like it's a tough thing. So we're going to go the different route of having a program specifically for breakup.
Yeah, it's genius.
And then
like
we'll do the retreat on pleasure and helping women reassociate their relationship to pleasure. Because usually when people hear that word, they think of sex, and that's all they think about.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. And so we really want to open the container of pleasure to be a holistic experience, so that women actually feel good in their body. They feel good in their life. They feel good in their relationships.
That's so needed, eh?
So needed.
You are about to explode. I can tell you that right now. And I got Kelsey Grant on my podcast. You watch this. I'm on the inside of this one. So what else? So are you writing a book? What are you doing? Actually, no, okay, answer that question. Forget it. I got a different question.
Okay.
Since are we over time? Yeah, we'll go for a couple more minutes, but I just want to ask you a question. Every person, this is something that's maybe more, like I know my mentor, I know other people that have big images out there. You've got a big image. You're the relationship person. You know, I'm like whatever I am and all this stuff. What is in you that you would like to talk about that you say, fuck, that doesn't make sense. I can't do that. Because I think at the core of who we are, and you may be there. You may totally be there, Kelsey. I'm not saying, I'm just curious. Is there a thing that's like, fuck, am I really going to say this? Is there something like that or no? It doesn't have to be.
I feel like I cover a lot of that already. Like there isn't ground that I'm not willing to tread on,
totally.
And things that I'm not willing to talk about. Like sex talk is always so fun for me.
Yeah.
And I think we need more of that. It's not my specific wheelhouse, but I will touch on it. And I know down the line, we're definitely writing a sex, love, and intimacy course.
Cool.
It's just, there's so many other things that I want to create right now and that I am creating.
Yeah, totally.
We've got, some breakup content, and we've got, dating content, and then couples content. And so there's all these different courses that are being built out right now within the academy.
And are you building them out? Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, I love creating content. It is like my happy place.
Cool. That's
one of my favorite things to do.
Podcast coming? Gotta be.
I have been thinking about it, and one of the girls on my team, I was like, I'll make you a deal. If you manage the podcast, I'll show up and record it.
Totally, yeah.
And so it's just a matter of
just so many things, right? Like I'm with you. I'm maxed. I got it all going, and it's going good. Yeah, there's so many cool things. When you're creative, it's like, but the operation is you need an operator. You need an operator.
Well, that's just it. And I want to do it in a sustainable way. And since I've switched gears this year, and I'm doing more music, and I'm recording my first album this year, and like that's a lot of creative work too. So I know my limit, and I'm just going to play within it and do the things that I can do really well and just knock them out of the park, because like high quality is such a core value of mine.
I hear you. Me too.
And I'm not willing to put something that's subpar out into the world.
Just to produce content. It's like how many guys are doing that, right? Just bullshit content. Who cares? Gross. So anything else you got going on? I hate that stuff. Throws me off. I'm like, so like content. Well, no, like eventually it's just like nothing.
It's just words. They don't mean anything.
Like what happened to true impact? Like true impact. And so I'm the same way. Like I don't want to produce nothing that's not, like it's real to me. Like the mission's real. It's not about creating an empire for an empire.
Totally.
So anything else going on? We're gonna link everything to this podcast about you.
Perfect.
We're gonna have all that stuff, and we'll give you some stuff to share. We're gonna share it everywhere as well. And I think we should wrap that up. So I'll push the end button. So thank you so much, Kelsey.